The nearly 2 million people living on the Gaza Strip have had to get their heads around rarely being able to leave their country. The borders are all but closed, and that means it's almost impossible for anybody to get out, even for a family reunion or urgent medical treatment. The reason Egypt and Israel keep things so tight is to squeeze the hardline Islamist group Hamas that controls the territory. Middle East correspondent Sophie McNeil was in Gaza recently for one brief opening of the border to Egypt. Here's what she found.
There's fierce competition to get a seat on one of these buses.
I've been waiting for 1 year now. This is my second time trying to leave. Last year they turned me back.
There are 30,000 people on the waiting list to leave, but today only 10 buses will be allowed to cross into Egypt.
We tried to cross before this time, but we were stopped. Now we're trying again. This is a big prison. God help us with this situation. God help us with our lives here.
This woman's daughter managed to get a seat on the bus. She's spent years trying to leave Gaza and reunite with her husband, who's working in Europe.
My daughter is leaving us for the first time. Her husband's been waiting for her for 3 years. Last time she tried to leave, she was held for 10 hours. It's been a long wait. She's tried this before without luck. We are very concerned that she might get stuck again.
And as hard as it is to get out, it's also incredibly difficult to get back in.
That's why I'm sad and I'm crying. God knows if I'm going to see my daughter again. You know what the crossings are like.
This border is controlled by Egypt. It's one of only 2 crossing points, and both are heavily restricted. Egypt has kept its border largely closed since President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi took control in 2013. Israel controls the other crossing called Erez, but has maintained a blockade on Gaza for nearly 10 years. To punish the hardline militant group Hamas, which controls the Strip and regularly fires rockets across the border into Israel.
Before Hamas was in charge, we allowed tens of thousands of people every day to cross into Israel. Day laborers, visitors, tourism, everything was available. Since 2006, Hamas is there. We don't have anyone to talk to on the other side. So we try to pick the population that we need to assist them, like medical cases, like businessmen, like teachers, like students, and we allow these people to get permits and to cross into Israel, to the West Bank or abroad.
But being ill doesn't exempt you from the restrictions.
No. There is no radiation in Gaza.
32-year-old Iman has thyroid cancer. She applied to Israeli authorities to exit via Erez crossing and go and receive radiation treatment in Jerusalem.
So I applied 7 times via Erez, and they refused me. So I have to choose another choice. That's why I'm going to Turkey to complete my treatment.
The World Health Organization says 30% of patients who apply to Israel to leave for medical treatment are not given permission to exit.
Sometimes we have a security issue or a security indication that we can't allow this movement into Israeli territory. Don't forget, there is another international border crossing between Gaza and Egypt, and many people, sometimes when Egyptians open their crossing point, also cross to Egypt and get their medical treatments there.
Our focus really is on that Israeli border and on the imposition of a blockade on Gaza. That's where we believe the focus should be. Rafah is not a substitute. The sense of collective punishment that represents the blockade on Gaza is perhaps for me the most disturbing, that all Gazans are being punished as a consequence of the actions of a few.
Iman's husband is here to hug her goodbye. She has no idea when she will see her family again.
Really, I'm very sad because I left my 2 daughters, they are babies, at home, so I can't do anything. That's the last choice for me.
A short distance away at the crossing point, this bus is within sight of Egypt. 28-year-old Mohammed has been trying to leave for years. This is the first time he's seen land outside of Gaza. He can't imagine what life is like beyond these walls.
At least we will have electricity 24 hours. Is that possible? I don't know if it's that possible out there, but I hope so, inshallah.
Only 2 buses out of 10 have been allowed to cross so far. Mohammed's been here since 9:30 a.m. and it's now past noon. Mohammed lays the blame for the situation in Gaza not just on Israel and Egypt, but also on the Palestinian leadership of Fatah and Hamas.
They always announce that there is something good going to happen, and nothing good happened so far. So I don't know if you want the truth, who are actually treating us like animals, it's everyone.
By 4 p.m, Mohammed's bus still hasn't been allowed through. Suddenly, a different bus arrives and it looks like authorities will let it pass first. The people on this bus have wasta, money and connections with contacts in Egypt who let them skip the queue over the people who've been waiting all day.
And here is even the ambulance, and just people can sweep and life. They are special.
It's now 7 p.m. and there's a rumour the bus will now finally be let through.
El bus? Okay, we shall go to the bus. El bus
But it's a false alarm. The authorities just want them back on the bus because they're being turned around. Nobody else will cross today. Mohammed's so upset he's not sure he can handle coming back tomorrow to try it all again.
I really don't know that either. So till tomorrow, I don't know. I will think and decide tonight. So I don't know. Okay, see.
Out the front of Rafah, as people turn back home, we find Iman. She too failed to make it out.
And when you look, all of these people are returning back. You look at their eyes. You know, it's very sad. Really, it's very sad. We live here in a prison.
After waiting several days, both Iman and Mohammed were allowed through Rafah. Iman hopes to begin radiation treatment in Istanbul in the coming days.
Sophie McNeil reporting. That's